All right, so you guys, of course, are in the midst of potentially retrofitting your operations, your hospitality organizations, and technology is usually on the forefront of some of the things that restaurant operators are having to change to deal with COVID-19 and how we're going to move forward. My name is Paul Barron, and this is the Barron Report. Today, we have what I think is one of the most innovative products that has hit the market in probably the last decade, and that is the Freestyle machine. And I've got Coca-Cola and Chris Hellmann, who is the Freestyle Global VP and GM. Great to have you on the show, Chris.
Hey, great to be here. Thanks.
Okay, Freestyle, for those who have been under a rock in the last few years, explain to us what a Freestyle machine is and kind of how it works.
Sure. So you said in the last decade, and you were right on, because we actually introduced Freestyle 10 years ago. The first dispensers we put in the marketplace were in 2010. And the idea behind Freestyle was, how do we bring a tremendous amount of variety to the fountain experience? Because in most traditional fountain settings, you're relatively limited on your choices. There's maybe 6 or 8 brands. And with Freestyle, the idea was, how do we bring the variety that people want in a fun, interactive way with a great user interface? That was the basic idea behind Freestyle. Yeah. The invention that got us there was microdosing pumps. So we stole some technology from the medical industry, and by using super precise pumps that pump medicine, we can really miniaturize and concentrate the ingredients. So now we have the ability to put highly concentrated ingredients inside the machine and provide about 200 different choices in the same footprint as a traditional fountain dispenser. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, what Freestyle is all about.
Well, the flexibility of being able to for a consumer and also the operator to be able to offer so many different drink variations, that has been kind of one thing that, people even in the old fountain drinks tried to do, but obviously with Freestyle, you guys have really kind of taken it up to the next level. The acceptance rate of Freestyle has been growing dramatically. I continue to see it deployed in a lot of both restaurant brands that are small all the way up to national chains. Has this been something that, when you look at the size and scope of Freestyle, kind of talk to me about how many countries, how many units do you guys have out there today?
Well, we have about 52,000 dispensers and we're in 19 countries. And most of our business is in the U.S., but we have a pretty good footprint in Europe, and it's expanding quite a bit in Canada. And then we have some smaller countries where we just have a few dispensers, but really, when you get outside the U.S., the dispense business is a much smaller piece of our business. We do much more packaged goods in most countries, but in the U.S., fountain has been around. Really, it's where we were. It was where we were born, and so the fountain business is widely accepted in the U.S. So that's where the biggest part of our business is.
Interesting. All right, so you guys, of course, had to take a look at repositioning Freestyle to obviously deal with COVID-19. A lot of technology companies, especially that had, interfaces that required touch in many cases or close contact, had to adjust. You guys have introduced a contactless model. Kind of explain to me how it works. How did you guys deploy it? What was the process?
Sure. Well, we're in the process of deploying it, but I can tell you how we built it and the thinking behind it. When this crisis first hit, and we started to go in lockdown in early March, we had like everyone, we had no idea how long or how long this was going to affect the market. And unfortunately, it's had quite an effect, right? So food service and hospitality has been really devastated by this crisis. And immediately we started thinking about and really wanting to understand how consumer needs are going to change, because we know they are. And while we don't have all the answers, we made some assumptions around, especially with Freestyle and the touchscreen nature of it. We wanted to make sure that we provided all kinds of options as consumers change and evolve throughout this crisis. And a relatively obvious one that we started working on right away was, can we bring the user interface and the experience to the consumer's mobile device? And given the software that we have and the technology within the dispensers, we were able to pretty quickly build some prototypes of using QR codes of how the consumer could make a quick handshake with the dispenser and bring the user screen right to their phone or mobile device or tablet. So
right.
it really just takes the screen and puts it on your screen.
So I walk up to a Freestyle today. I don't have to touch it. I can hit it with my QR-enabled camera. It basically feeds in and triggers my app. Now I can go in and just say, all right, this is what I'm looking for, Barks Root Beer or Coke XYZ. Go directly into it, and it's going to dispense right there in front of me. Is that correct?
Exactly. So the QR code matches up with your phone, and the really neat part about it is there's no apps involved. You don't have to download anything. There's no memberships, and we're not collecting any data, personal data from anyone that's using it. It's immediate interaction.
Interesting. So it's truly just machine to machine.
It is.
Okay, very cool.
It happens in a second.
All right. So I could see this as, when you look at the application opportunities here, I could see this in theme parks, hospitality, obviously in the restaurant-facing side of it. Kind of talk to me about evolution of this. Is this something that at some point I might be able to kind of pre-order with, or is it something that, is there any kind of app advancements that could be down the road in terms of your roadmap to kind of really create a unique user experience?
Right. Well, nothing's off limits, even toward mobile pay. I mean, where you could prepay and buy so many ounces or so many drinks, depending on the outlet. But you're right about the channels. So amusement and entertainment has been really devastated by this crisis. Think about our movie theaters that we're partners with. So the colleges and universities, and we've actually already gotten quite a bit of interest from a couple colleges and universities that were not turning on their dispensers in the fall semester because they're really figuring out how to reopen. This touchless technology, they're going to enable them for the fall.
Well, and if you think about it, even in the sense, because in many cases restaurants are completely going contactless, meaning in many cases you don't even, in some cases you don't even interact with a human at any point. You walk in, your bag of food is over on a holding station, your cup and or your drink dispensers are completely unmanned, your cash or your contactless has all been prepaid, whether it's through the app or through some sort of device that's kind of gone in that direction. With all that occurring, especially if you think about, I look at a movie theater. In many cases, I would just walk up and not have to go stand in line again. Could I actually do a pay transaction within a Coke machine?
Well, you sure can, especially with the QR code. It really enables you to be able to do a lot of those types of things, whether it's prepaid balance or just having the transaction right on the dispenser.
All right, very cool. All right, so as we get into this, when you look at the kind of things that are hitting the market, contactless, of course, has exploded. When you look at the sectors, let's say QSR, obviously, quick serve restaurants, they've had a fairly decent move, but it has pushed everybody to the drive-through as opposed to coming into the store. How is that affecting, or is it affecting, kind of the Freestyle way of thinking at all? Or do you see that being something down the road that you might see, maybe external dispensers, anything like that coming down the pipeline?
Yeah, I think what's happened over the last couple months is there's been a real acceleration in innovation and new ways of operating with many of our restaurant and hospitality partners.
Right.
We're seeing really creative ways of curbside delivery, pre-ordering, obviously the delivery services that are all available now. People have changed some of their processes through the drive-throughs to deal with the velocity. There's been a lot of innovation in the restaurant industry, and I think that it was already moving that way. The digital ordering and the curbside pickup and some of those types of this has certainly accelerated it. And I would see that in the not too distant future, whether it's Freestyle or some of our legacy dispensers with our customers, I think there's going to be a much quicker interface between the drive-through and your personal device that may run into that, and you may be able to place your order right on your mobile device while you're in the drive-through. We're already starting to see a lot of the restaurant partners out there are moving really fast in that direction.
Yeah. I could see that definitely moving in quickly, which kind of leads us to my next question, and that is consumer trends. All right, so consumers have completely revamped their model of how they're getting food. When you look at that, including kind of this whole interface issue that you usually walk into a restaurant, there's a beautiful freestyle machine there, almost begs you to touch it. I'm kind of curious, has Coke done any studies, or are you watching consumer data in terms of how consumers are actually interacting with these UIs? Kind of talk to me about that, because is there some movement in that direction of completely shifting? Do you think this is a short-term fix, or do you think this is a long-term effect?
I think, first of all, I think that's a great question, and I'm not sure anybody really knows the answer to that. I think that it's a little too soon because many dining rooms are still not open. And so we're kind of seeing some open and then maybe even some close. And so we're not really sure. We did some research recently, and 60% of the people that were studied in the study that we did with Civic Science, 60% said they like to pour their own drink when they're inside. And that's primarily because they like to control the ice levels and the flavors. And so we still think that exists, and I'm not sure that's going to go away. The actual interaction inside the dining rooms, though, may change, and we're going to try and be ready for whatever those changes are, whether it's contactless or crew serve or whatever really the consumer and the outlet is willing to offer. We want to be ready there. We want to be ready and right there with them. The thing that our partners have also been really great at is really following the FDA and the CDC guidelines on reopening, because it's really comes down to the local area and what the local laws are. Because it's like I said, we've seen some that are fully open and some that are partially open. So it's a real mixed bag. Right.
As far as Coca-Cola's roadmap, I know you won't give away anything that's super secret, but there's probably some new stuff out there. How are you guys going to market with some of the new products to deal with this? Obviously, takeout and delivery is a huge lift. And, for most part, QSR can win big in the beverage category. But for some restaurants, beverage in a takeout or delivery situation may not be a huge sector. So I would think that'd be a great growth area for you guys. Are you starting to look at that area?
Yeah, we are. And I think, we see opportunity in many channels. Like, for instance, a lot of our energy in innovation in my group has been on the water category. There's a lot of, believe it or not, there's a lot of consumer excitement in sparkling waters. And we've introduced a new brand this year, AHA. We've certainly got the Dasani line. And so we've created a line of dispensers for businesses and some entertainment venues that are just water dispensers. There's actually one behind me on the corner there, the Dasani machine. So that's one of our innovations. And what we've done there is we've taken this idea of miniaturizing the ingredients, and that unit is total countertop. So it is, there's nothing underneath. It's all one unit. You basically can plug it in and run water to it, and then it's filtered and flavored. And there again, it has the QR codes where you can prepay for the certain period of time or for so many drinks. So we see a lot of growth there. But in the restaurant sector, we're just trying to be as nimble as possible and listen to our customers as they reopen and meet the needs of our consumers.
Yeah, for sure. Chris, let's talk a little bit about kind of the future of where the segment is going. Or when I say segment, meaning the restaurant industry. Obviously, we've seen a large amount of closures, millions of people now without work within the industry. When Coca-Cola steps back and takes a look at where the state of the restaurant and hospitality business is today, and you kind of look forward, whether it's 12 months, 24 or 36, what are your thoughts on how you guys are preparing for what's going to be on the other side of this?
Yeah, well, where it is today is bad. It has been significantly impacted by this, as we talked about earlier. And many companies have dealt with downsizing their employees, so today's bad. I think that the fundamental belief we have is that what has driven the success of many of our restaurant and hospitality partners is consumers need to be social and to have that social interaction, and we don't see that changing. we see it maybe, we don't see it going away. It may shift, it may change, it may evolve into something that we're not quite sure of right now. But we think that that fundamental consumer need to be social and to visit our restaurant partners and hospitalities is not going to change. And when they're able, they're going to come back.
Yeah, for sure. Chris, we just got some data in last week on the pizza category was up almost 27% across the top 50 chains. The fast casual sector had double-digit growth in the top 50 chains. Your thoughts? Do you feel like we're going to see some concepts that kind of break out of this, that maybe have figured out the code to kind of get through this? And do you feel like we're going to see some brands that just get left behind? What are your thoughts on how the industry shakeout will occur?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think those who can figure out the most frictionless and seamless way to serve their guests a high quality meal and experience, and whether that experience is a delivery or a takeout, will do well and will get through the other end of this horrible tunnel that we're in. Those who are slow to react, won't do as well. I think it's just the fundamental underpinning of the business.
Yeah, for sure. Well, innovation, I know you guys are on top of that. I can't wait to see what you guys are continuing to do, especially as the Freestyle continues its maturity. And happy birthday to Freestyle out there. So 10 years, it doesn't seem like it was that long ago. Wow, that's amazing. I love it. Well, Chris, thanks for stopping in on the show today. We really appreciate it.
Sure thing, Paul. Thank you.
All right. So you guys are listening over on Spotify, maybe on iTunes. Make sure and drop us a review. That's how we get great feedback from you. And it's also how we learn what you want to see, hear, and listen to on the Barron Report. And of course, if you have a great idea or maybe a topic that you'd like us to approach, you can send us just a quick note about it, just producer@foodabletv.com. And of course, if you want to hit me up directly, you can do that on Twitter @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time on the Barron Report.